I'm going to give you the wealth breakthrough framework. This is the wealth breakthrough framework that I've been teaching my students, that literally when they use this, it assists them to move further, faster in their future. Okay. But here's the thing. I want to share something with you very transparently. If I give you this wealth breakthrough framework, you need to commit to doing the work. You can't expect someone else to do the work. Don't expect your spouse who lives in your house to do the work. I'm going to give you the wealth breakthrough formula. And in this framework, I'm going to show you every step you need in order to succeed. But here's the thing. You have to commit to do the work. Because if you do the work, I've got a secret for you. The work will work for you. Let's jump in. First step. You need to develop your awareness. Some people aren't producing results because they're not aware of the results. What we've done is we've outlined for you the traps. Why have I outlined the traps? Because if I outline the traps, you can see the trap. What's the value of seeing the trap? Awareness. If I say to you, it's a trap to be focused on equity and focused on assets over being focused on cash flow, you can now be aware of the trap. But that takes us to the second part of the framework, which is super crucial. Here's the second part of the framework. After you have awareness, this is where most people fail. Most people are wise enough to tap into the awareness. But what happens is subconscious and psychological. After they get the awareness, they don't have the acceptance. This is literally proven through means of psychological studies. That if you are aware of something, but you do not accept that thing, you cannot change that thing. Now, why is this important? Because not only do you have to see the trap, you have to literally own the trap. You have to share with yourself, listen, this is what I'm going through. I'm actually this person. I'm actually the person who's been focused on assets over being focused on cash flow. I'm actually the person who thinks the old me is going to take me to the new level I desire to be. If you don't accept the trap, it's useless even being aware of the trap. So it starts with awareness, but it shifts to acceptance. And you have to be someone who accepts the reality of the trap so you can make sure you're no longer trapped. And that's what takes us to stage 3 of the framework. Because if you have the awareness of the trap that's attempting to stop you, and you embrace through acceptance what's going on with that trap attempting to stop you, you can now make the appropriate adjustments. You can now turn left at that junction. You can now slow down at those lights. You can now speed up at that sign because you can make the adjustments because you recognized the actual traps were mine. You see, most people don't want to be bold enough and take the responsibility when they see themselves trapped in a situation, circumstance, or scenario to say, yeah, that's what I'm going through. That's me. You're talking to me. Let me tell you what most people want to do. They want to hide. That's why these traps are 5 hidden traps, because you are hiding when you even are exposed to the traps. But if you say to yourself, you know what, Samuel, I'm hearing you today. You've enlightened me through means of awareness. And Samuel, you know what, I'm hearing you today. I'm embracing it. I'm taking on board that I am going to have some level of acceptance. This is what opens you up to be able to make the adequate adjustment. The adjustment is the change in the behavior. The adjustment is recognizing I need to make a shift. The adjustment is seeing, you know what, I've been doing it like this all my life, but this hasn't been helping my life. I've been doing it like this all my life, but this is the reason I'm struggling with my wife. I've been doing it like this all my life, but this is the reason I can't start to thrive. You can now make the adjustment. You can start to change the behavior, and you can start to become, for somebody else, a form of a savior. You can put yourself in a position where when you receive that financial benefit, when you receive the true freedom, you can go and start helping other people get free. Oh, someone doesn't understand what I'm talking about. Let me spell this out for you. In the Bible, there's a verse. It says it is for freedom that he has set us free. You see, the reason you want to be free is not just for you and me. You want to be free for the other people that are waiting on you to be free so they can be free. There's people in your community who look to you as a leader. There's people in your community who look to you as a forerunner. There's people who in your community look to you as a pioneer. And when you break the 4-minute mile, guess what? It becomes breakable for all of them. Why don't you allow that to motivate you to adjust? Why don't you allow that to cause you to transform into the person willing and finally ready to adjust? Why don't you allow that to tell you, if it's going to be, it's got to be up to me? Yes, it starts with awareness. And yes, you're going to need to embrace that through acceptance. But ultimately, the framework doesn't start to truly work until you embrace the adjustment, the change in behavior. And let me tell you my favorite part of this framework. It's the last part. It's the part that happens next. Because when you engage with your awareness, when you embrace through your acceptance, and when you start to adjust through the adjustments, here's what happens. You get the benefit through acceleration. You get to accelerate your results. You get to have results beyond the results other people are having, because your results start to compound. You're the person who brings to the community what you've been doing. You're the person who shares with the community how you've been doing. You're the person who doesn't hide your results. So your community are always comfortable showing and sharing with you their results. People get wins. I shared with you guys earlier about one of my friends who started saying, if only I can make £15,000 a month. Now she makes over £83,000 a month. Guys, she gets to share that with me. Why? Because I showed her the path to freedom. This is my desire for all of you guys. This is my desire for you. If you will take that opportunity and walk through this exact formula and framework in your property, in your life. You see, in faith, in business, your life will change radically. Your life will change radically. And the reason your life will change radically is because you'll start realizing, wow, Samuel, you know what? This 4-part framework that you gave me, this literal wealth breakthrough framework that you shared with me, it works in all areas of my life. Samuel, I can see how in my property business, because I started to be aware of the traps and I started to accept those traps and I started to adjust through those traps, I'm now accelerating past those traps. I'm producing results in my property business. Samuel, in my life, I was going through this stuff with my spouse. We were arguing inside of the house until I started to become aware of the devices of the devil, the traps that were being laid. And I started to take responsibility and embrace acceptance. I owned the trap. And because I started to take acceptance, I was able to adjust and change my behavior. And I was able to change my behavior so much that we could embrace the Savior. And this resulted in acceleration. My results began to compound. Now we're not arguing in the house. Now I'm happy with my spouse because I was able to apply the wealth breakthrough framework. Same applies in faith, guys. I said it. Imagine if in your faith you stopped being the person who says, I know I'm supposed to have devotion. I know I'm supposed to be reading. I know I'm supposed to be in some community leading. But you know what? It's so hard. Okay. What if you just started to become aware of the trap? What if you just started to accept that that was that? And allowed yourself through acceptance to adjust so you're no longer trapped in the trap. And you start being a person who maybe it's not first thing in the morning. Maybe it's at lunchtime. You're breaking out into that 15 minutes of devotion. Maybe it's at the end of the day, you're breaking out into that 5-10 minutes of devotion. And you're starting to see things in your life shift No longer a little river, now it becomes an ocean. And your faith starts building and building and building. And now you're breaking barriers. Now you're having breakthroughs. Now you're producing results that are bold and bodacious. And you're able to accelerate in your faith. What would happen if? Think about the questions I asked earlier. Who would benefit? Oh Lord. Who would benefit if you didn't just become aware, started to accept and made the adjustments, but you also put the pedal to the metal and started to accelerate? Who would benefit? Who else would benefit? Who else would be a winner when you start to walk in your winning? Same for your business. You might have a business that you're operating right now. I got friends in manufacturing businesses. I got friends in financial services businesses. Even as I'm sharing this, I'm thinking of one of my friends, right? One of my friends, this guy had a double-digit multi-million property portfolio before he met me. He was already edging past the tens of £1 million worth of property before he met me. We had one conversation. Let me tell you what I did in that conversation. In that conversation, I helped him become aware of a trap. I helped him to accept that trap was where he was at. Then he decided to adjust, and I showed him a way he could accelerate. Guess what he did? He went and bought a whole block of flats for £500,000 straight after that conversation. Literally, within weeks from that conversation, he bought a whole block of flats, 7 apartments instantly. His business, his financial services business, literally was able to be having value added to it through means of his property business because of the fact that he followed the wealth breakthrough framework that I've just given to you. Simple things. It starts with awareness. We shift to acceptance. We embrace the adjustment so we can have true acceleration. If you are committed to having true acceleration going forward, just write in the comments the words "I am."